Good morning. It is Wednesday, February 24th. I'm Jason Stanton. I serve at First Lutheran in Onalaska, Wisconsin as senior pastor, and this is my morning musing for today. I've continued to be reading through our Lenten devotional again and again, a Lenten refrain, remembering that God meets us again and again. That's what we're thinking about this week. The text from Mark chapter 1, recounting the baptism of Jesus from Mark's perspective, leads the author Lyle Gwynn Garrity to say, we might expect the long-awaited Messiah to greet his new followers like the kings before him have, with a pompous coronation, with hunger to exert power and control. Instead, Jesus steps in line along the river's edge, blending in with the crowds, joining in solidarity with those around him. Jesus does not demand any attention, but as soon as the water washes over him, creation is summoned to celebrate. I imagine him wading into the waters and leaning back to receive the blessing that falls upon him like rain. You are my beloved. I delight in you. Before Jesus faces the pain, betrayal, and challenges of what will come, before he does anything to prove himself, God grants him unconditional belovedness as his essence. From this, all his subsequent teachings and actions flow. The things that struck me there is about how Jesus just blends in and doesn't demand attention. I wonder how successfully in our celebrity culture could any celebrity blend in? Much less would they want to. I think a lot of famous people would be like, hey, here I am, look at me. It's kind of a big deal happening over here, you know? Much less when it comes to, Jesus is going to be, as Messiah, a political, they think the people around Jesus would think a military leader, a political leader, a religious leader. And yet this Jesus just gets in line with all the other people, which that in and of itself is an image to hold on to. Jesus just in line as one of us. Before he does anything to prove himself, God calls him beloved. Beloved first. This is, how do Lutherans claim that grace is the source of everything else, rather than grace being a reward for a life lived well or correctly? It's a story like this. Jesus is named beloved first. I mean, think if you were named beloved and then you took the test, instead of, well, how'd you do? Okay, well, now I'm proud of you. What if you're beloved before you sit for the interview? What if you're beloved before playing in the big game? It would mean that however you play, even if you have a bad game, you're still beloved. It would mean that even if you bomb the interview, you're still beloved. Or what if we're beloved before we delve into parenting and all the things we don't know how to do well? Or what if we're beloved before we try to be married? Beloved before trying to care for an aging parent? You think of all those relationships that are really hard to navigate and we fail at oftentimes. What if it's just assumed first you're beloved? We live in such a prove yourself world where we define ourselves by the proofs we've produced. If someone asks me, what are you? Who are you? Define yourself. Well, I'd probably name things I've done, right? Proofs that I've produced to show this is the caliber of person I am. Jesus is defined not after his journey to the cross, but long before. And if Jesus can be defined that way, so can we. And when I think of that I was baptized as a baby before I could prove a thing, that I was named and claimed as beloved one before I could show that I was this kind of a child or that kind of an adult or this kind of a parent or that kind of a pastor, that all of my doings and proofings are afterthoughts. Maybe Lent is as good a time as any to remember the first thought, and that is that we are in Christ beloved. And remembering that is a good way to keep faith alive.